today on the Kitaholic Kits YouTube channel, and I am making an exploding card box. I'm sure most of you have seen these, doing the rounds. They're pretty popular and they're super easy. I'm going to read out the measurements that I've used, but what I'm also going to do is leave them in the description box down below so you don't have to madly remember them. The main piece is a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I scored it at 4 inches, scored at one edge, turned it around, scored at another edge, turned it around, scored at another edge. So that's at 4 inches. And then the second piece of paper is 10.5 inches by 10.5, and I scored it at 3.5 inches. And the smallest piece of paper is 9 by 9, and I scored that at 3 inches. And then for the lid, which I'm doing now, I scored that, the size is 6.25 by 6.25. And then it's scored at 1 inch, and I just cut in one little wedge of the square that creates in the corner. You can see it there visually, just so I can close up the lid. It's a really basic exploding box shape, and the lid is really basic. I know you can do much more fancier lids and more advanced lids, and maybe lids that are probably a little bit more sturdy. However, I was giving this as a birthday card to a friend, actually the same day that I was making it. Nothing like leaving things to the last minute. And, it didn't matter that it wasn't, that the lid wasn't super thick, because I didn't end up putting too much weight in the box anyway, so it all worked out in the end. I have covered the lid in paper, so the top square is the 4x4 size. I cut some paper at 4x4, and around the edges it's 0.75, what's that, 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches. So I've just covered the flaps or the sides, and I've covered the top, and now I'm just sticking the flaps down to create the lid. I'm not going to show you or film, I did film, but I edited it out, all of the sticking paper onto this because I feel like it's self-explanatory. But I did choose 4 pieces of paper, I did choose 1 piece of paper to use for the outside, and that's this beautiful paper with the mobile phones on it. I thought it was very cute, and those squares are cut at 3.75 by 3.75, so 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and I did that front and back. And then for the second sheet of paper, these are cut at 3 1/4 inch by 3 1/4, and that's front and back as well. And again, I felt like you didn't need to see me stick paper down. I know I go very quickly through the base, but tutorials are all over online, and I'll leave a link down the bottom to all of the measurements. The smallest piece is 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches for the inside paper. And then all I did was stick the bases together. So I just decided which of the paper I wanted, I guess, to be face out and which to be face down. And I stuck it down accordingly. So I just sort of made sure I lined up for these, different layers to make sure that they were lined up in the middle and all fit together nicely. Because obviously they're smaller, they've got a bit of space in between them, so you can put a bit of dimension onto the decoration. But there you go, it is all stuck down. And I'm just going to show you sort of how it works. You just pull the lid off and it opens up. So it is, well, I did make this over 2 days. I know I said earlier I made it over 1. That's not true. I made the base the evening, and now it is the morning of the next day, hence the lighting change, and I'm decorating it because I need to give it to my friend that evening, same evening I was decorating it. So what I did was I went through the kits this month, and I've got a little container up in the top right, you can see there, that actually has some stuff from last month's kits in it. Because this required a lot of decorating, I just mixed it up a bit and used some of the things from last month's kit as well. This was one of the first projects I did with the August kits, and I didn't want to use all of the embellishments for one project because I thought that was probably a bit excessive. So I used the cut apart sheet that came in, did it come in the pocket page kit? Because they're little 2x2 squares. Anyway, super cute. I used quite a few of those on this layout. It was for a girlfriend's birthday, so quite a few of the little 2x2 images were quite appropriate for a birthday, which was great. So I did use that. And yeah, I'm just going through all the different flaps and just decorating them. I mean, really, it's actually a very, very simple card you can make, but super effective. My friend whose birthday it was, she loved it, and she couldn't believe, you know, that I'd made it, and then also that I'd kind of put it together in 2 days. And I actually filled it with some macarons for her birthday, so it was very lovely. And the box, at least what I made, was big enough definitely for some chocolates or some macarons, just a few little things. And because, you know, it's 3 layers of cardstock, you can actually put a little bit of weight in it, and not sort of, I guess, have an impact on the structural integrity of the exploding box card. So you can see here, really, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just sticking down pieces of ephemera. Obviously, the largest things I have to put on the back, the biggest layer, and I am popping some things up. I found this taco truck, and I knew there was one on the sticker sheet, and they just actually worked so well on top of each other. I know it means I cover the gold foil in the sticker sheet, which was pretty disappointing, but I thought the effect was quite cool with that sort of popped up look. Yeah, so I used quite a few of the larger ephemera pieces, and I also found for a project like this, some of the things that I knew I wouldn't use on my own 12 by 12 layouts or pocket pages, when you're doing them in something like this where it's really just a bit of fun, you know, it kind of doesn't matter that there's a few random things on this page or on this exploding box. You know, I've got taco trucks on one thing, I've got guitars and, you know, on one, and I've got a bike and, you know, nail polish on another. So there's not really a theme, other than I want it to be fun, happy, bright. Yeah, and that's certainly what I went for. And the effect was, you know, it's great. And really, you know, because it's such a showy thing to create for someone, there was kind of no, the person I gave it to didn't notice that not everything went together. And, you know, that I didn't stick, I guess, with one theme for the whole exploding box card. I did pull this Hey You wood veneer, which was from last month's kit. I didn't end up using that on a layout, not because I didn't like it, I just didn't have an appropriate layout for it, so it went on this card as the sort of main sentiment, I guess. Oh, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today. So yes, I'm just sticking that down with a bit of double-sided tape. I would have used wet glue ordinarily, except I only had about 15 minutes to film this decoration part before I had to leave to give this to my friend whose birthday it was. And so I didn't want to use wet glue because I was nervous that it wouldn't dry in time. So everything I've stuck down with double-sided tape, and again, probably wouldn't have been my usual for some of the wood veneer, but that's okay. It works. Again, mixing ephemera from last month that I hadn't quite used up, and the ephemera from this month. Some I'm popping up on dimensionals, and some I'm leaving flat. Again, with the sort of, because there's enough space in this card, you can give your different layers some dimension. I had to be careful not to give every layer in each sort of segment too much dimension, because that would have probably pushed it over the edge and not made it close properly. But you'll see me every now and again, I check you know, whether the box is closing kind of flat. Yeah, again, I can't stress how super simple this was. It might look really effective, but anybody can do this as long as you have a means to cut out your shape, basic shape. Yeah, you're good to go. Even scoring, you don't even really need a scoreboard. You could just use a ruler and, you know, a pen or something that's a push down pen that's not pushed all the way down would probably work. Or I've seen people score with a what do you call it, like a box cutter. I couldn't do it. I would be worried I would push too hard, but obviously they just lightly graze the paper enough to give a fold line. But yeah, very simple, very effective, very simple. I'm just finalising the last couple of little bits I have here, little sections I have here. I know I want I wanted to use that particular 2x2 square, but I felt it got a bit lost on that pattern paper. So I ended up pulling out one of the 3x4 cards in the kit. Couldn't think of my words then, it's too early in the morning. And I laid it on that black and white pattern so that you'd be able to see it when I stuck it down onto that pattern paper. And yeah, I think that worked well. And now I think, oh yeah, I'm sticking, there was a little taco in the puffy stickers, and I thought I'm probably not going to use that on a layout. I should put it with the other taco truck stickers. I pulled this piece of ephemera, I think it was from last month's, it could possibly be for a previous month, but I wanted somewhere to write. So I've stuck that down. Now I apologise for the next section of clip, it is using my mobile phone, but I wanted to show you what it looks like when you open the box. That's the end of my video. As I said, I'll leave everything down below. I hope you liked it, it's really effective. Please make your own. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.